Video games are such a wonderful, talented gift given to us by the great gods of video game designers out there. And there are many games to enjoy. It doesn't matter if you love first-party games or third-party games, like whatever you can think of or whatever you love, like it's basically all on you and you just love to play it every single day. And we can all agree that it's the greatest game that's ever created. And of course, let's not forget the magic that is indie games. Indie games are basically described as games that are made by a small group of people or small development companies or even a single person. And I don't know how they do it, but thanks to these games, like they made some pretty impressive games, even though they're not like too big to some people. They are big to many of their dedicated fans. Stardew Valley, Hades, Dead Cells, Cuphead, Minecraft, Cave Story, Super Meat Boy, Celeste, Shovel Knight, Undertale. They're all very well iconic and beloved video games that we love. And of course, let's not forget indie horror games. These games are basically described as games that are mainly designed to scare the living hell out of us, and they do it with all sorts of different magic and all sorts of different things that they provide. Baldi's Basics, Bendy and the Ink Machine, Hello Neighbor, Little Nightmares, Doki Doki Literature Club, Poppy Playtime, Amanda the Adventurer. There are many of these games that live up to this day and have a strong fan base. But when it comes to indie games and indie horror games, there's only one game that has changed the indie game genre for quite some time, and man, it's left a big impact on all of us. It's grown so big to the point where, at this point, it's basically its own franchise, and thanks to its popularity, I could see it doing, like, even better and better, and it's thanks to its amazing story and its amazing, like, gameplay, and the horror aesthetics that it sets up is just crazy and insane. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I don't like playing this game, it has gotten me invested into loving this franchise, weirdly. Have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese or basically any old restaurant that's designed for entertaining kids and stuff, and it had animatronics and, you know, they were pretty creepy, and I don't know if they're still creepy to this day, and some people started having thoughts on what if these animatronics started to come after us or become all scary and stuff, which is kind of a weird thought because I know kids were scared of these things back in the days, but still. But anyways, this horror game definitely showcases all of that. And I'm not gonna lie, this to this day is still one of my most favorite indie horror games of all time. And that, of course, is the one and the only Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's was released on August 8th, 2014 by the indie game developer Scott Cawthon. And when this game was released, it left a big impact on everyone. A lot of very popular YouTubers started to play this game, and honestly, it's thanks to this game they've gotten so popular and they're well known for it. And not only did Five Nights at Freddy's succeed on being one of the most scariest horror games of all time, it succeeded into being one of the most creative horror games of all time. Because I would have never thought of a character trying to survive 5 nights at a kid's restaurant where animatronics come to life and try to scare you or kill you and all that stuff. It is a very scary and terrifying concept, but the way they handled it was just absolute sheer perfection. But not only did this franchise spawn a lot of games throughout the years, there was also some books, there was some merchandise such as toys and plushies and board games and stuff. There's even a Five Nights at Freddy's movie that has been officially announced back, I think around the time FNAF 4 was in development. And we waited until years and years and years until we finally got an official teaser trailer for the movie that's coming out to this day. And oh my goodness, I can't wait to see the movie because it's going to be so good. I have high hopes for it. Even though I'm not a big horror game fan or a big horror movie fan, I still love Five Nights at Freddy's regardless, and I'll see the movie by any means necessary. And you know what? In celebration of the movie coming out, I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I bet some of my subscribers who are like new to the channel probably don't know that much about Five Nights at Freddy's. So why not explain the entire Five Nights at Freddy's lore to you guys? But I'm not gonna lie, this also had me getting headaches, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the Five Nights at Freddy's lore is just... it's quite a lot, and it's a bit complicated. In fact, it's more complicated than you think. Now, how complicated is it? Is it like Blaze Blue complicated? Well, not really, because even though Blaze Blue lore is still confusing, I could still at least remember quite a handful of the majority of the lore. But I'm just gonna say this right now, it's probably Kingdom Hearts complicated. Yes, okay, I know it's an unfair comparison, but especially due to the fact that I haven't even played a single Kingdom Hearts game other sides from the Dream Drop Distance game for the 3DS for the demo, but that's not the point. The point is that Five Nights at Freddy's had so much story into it. There were so many theories being made on this game to the point where after many more games started to come out, the lore started to get a little more ridiculous and convoluted. Like, it's hard to keep up with all the lore, but you know what? Like, let me just explain to you something. I can explain the lore to some games that I already know. Like, here's the lore for Baldi's Basics.
Now it's time for Great Short.
2, 3, 4.
And here's the lore for Doki Doki Literature Club.
I love you.
This is the lore to Cuphead.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Bugman, they like to roll the dice. By chance they came on Devil's Game, and gosh, they paid the price.
And now, here's the lore to Five Nights at Freddy's.
It's been so long since I last have seen our soul lost to this monster, to the man behind the slaughter. Since you've been gone, I've been singing this stupid song so I could ponder the sanity of the wonder.
That was only at least, from what I'm guessing, is at least 30% of the lore that I just showed you guys on screen. So, yeah, it's that complicated. But it doesn't really matter because I had to watch all these theory videos, these timeline videos. I had to rewatch some game theory videos just to get a quick recap and quick remembrance of some details that I might be missing out in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. But yeah, Oh, and one more thing. This video will contain jump scares because, well, this is a horror franchise after all. I mean, you might see some jump scares in these videos, you might not see them, but they could happen either way depending on what type of footage I get from these videos. Also, I'm only covering the mainline Five Nights at Freddy's games. I'm not counting any of the spin-offs, and I'm not going to be talking about any of the books either because the books, they're just quite a handful, but they do have some lore bits inside that I'll just talk about while I'm talking into the games and all that stuff. So, yeah, strap yourselves up, everybody. Get some pizza, some drinks, get your Freddy Fazbear plushie alongside you, pull up your big screen TV and turn off all the lights because get ready to hear the lore for Five Nights at Freddy's. So before we get into the games, we need to cover what happened before and how it all started. So we start our story with a man by the name of William Afton, a British businessman who was also an entrepreneur and a robotics engineer who was also the founder of Afton Robotics and the co-founder of Fazbear Entertainment. So William is married to his, well, we don't know the name of his wife. I mean, most people call her Mrs. Afton, but for the sake of this retrospective, I'm going to be calling her Beverly Afton. So anyways, William and Beverly were a nice, happy couple who lived in a nice house with their 3 children, Evan, Michael, and Elizabeth. Then one day when the Afton family moved into a small town, William has befriended a man named Henry Emily, who also has a daughter by the name of Charlotte. William and Henry have been talking about their careers, and because they're both very good at making robotics, they decided, hey, let's start a business together. Let's make a restaurant for families to come together. And thus they created their very own restaurant known as Fredbear's Family Diner. Fredbear's Family Diner had everything. It had games and attractions for kids to play. There was also good food like pizza and such. And most importantly, there was also 2 mascot animatronics that were designed for the entertainment. That, of course, being a golden bear by the name of Fredbear and a golden bunny by the name of Spring Bonnie. Now, these 2 animatronics were designed by William and Henry, and these animatronics are both very special because these 2 animatronics are designed for both being a suit and an animatronic. How exactly? With its own spring lock mechanisms. So basically, you can use these spring locks to switch the animatronic from suit mode to where a human can wear it, and to animatronic mode where these suits can function as their own. But there's one small minor, fault with this design. If you were inside of the suit while it's in suit mode, and keep in mind that these spring locks are very, and I repeat, very sensitive to moisture. Let's just say that it's gonna automatically activate into suit mode if you breathe on the spring locks too much or sweat around it or if it gets wet. And you'll basically be bleeding and agonizing to death, and yeah, that's not pretty good. But like that's ever gonna happen, wink wink. So with the success of Fredbear's Family Diner, William and Henry decide to open another restaurant by the name of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And this is basically kind of like Fredbear's Family Diner, but slightly more better. And plus, there's also 4 brand new animatronics that are also designed for entertainment. Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, Foxy the Pirate Fox, and of course the main star of the show, Freddy Fazbear himself. Now, the only difference with these animatronics is that unlike the Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, these animatronics are not suits. They are purely made just for animatronics only, and they have endoskeletons inside that basically has them functioning on their own. So, yeah. So, not much is need to be said. Fazbear Entertainment is very successful thanks to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and Fredbear's Family Diner, and everybody's making a lot of money and all families are happy. Everything is perfectly fine. Well, this is where things start to go a little more insane. Now, how insane am I talking about? Well, I mean very insane. Like, let's go back to William Afton. Afton, well, started to slightly change, and he starts to act a little weird now, because all of a sudden he's starting to have some weird, strange dream and desire to become immortal. And he's been researching on many things on how to become immortal, how to live forever. And basically he discovers this with Remnant. So, Remnant is basically this sort of source where if a person dies, their soul can fuse with this piece of, like, electronic energy. I don't know how to explain it. It's very weird, especially the way it's explained in the books. But yeah, so yeah, William discovers this whole Remnant situation, and I mean, I don't think he's buying this whole thing, but it could be a possibility, so he decides to do some more research into it. Then he started working on some more animatronics, had some more plans, and let's just say that his family is also getting torn apart. Beverly notices that William has been constantly spending time in his basement, always making animatronics, locking himself behind the walls, never having time for his family. So it got to the point where Beverly was just heartbroken and decided to divorce Afton because she just couldn't handle it anymore. But how do we know that they had a divorce, and how do we know that this is relevant to the story? Well, they don't tell you directly, but it is sorta hinted in the games. At the end of each night of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, we watch a cartoon sitcom called The Immortal and the Restless, where it's about a vampire named Vlad arguing with his wife Clara about their son and whether or not the son is his.
Clara, I tell you, the baby isn't mine.
Count, I tell you that it is. You're the only vampire I've ever loved. And the baby turns his bottles into powdered milk.
That doesn't mean anything.
You need to be part of your son's life.
I'm an old man, Clara. I can't be a father.
Well, then at least pay your child support, you deadbeat. You need to see your son.
The baby isn't mine.
Well, how's this? I'm keeping the diamond ring.
Now, from the argument that you just heard and the footage that I've shown, this could be like a symbolization of William and Beverly's relationship falling, and of course could be a symbolization of William not being there for his family. So it could be sort of like that. And if you pay attention to Vlad's design, he is sort of like William. I mean, he does have the same haircut as him in the books, and he even has the purple outfit just like him. And as for Beverly's design, well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they did not reveal her design like at all in the games. So if you're looking at the gotcha skits of the story, I basically based her design off of Clara, because most people hint on that. So after Beverly moves out of the house and takes the kids with her, Afton is heartbroken and spends the rest of his time not only still working on his whole project and his desires to becoming immortal, he starts to grieve over the loss of his wife by eating some popcorn and basically going to a bar to constantly drink. And let's say that he also loses his wife permanently because we don't know exactly how, but Beverly dies. I know, it's insane, but let's just say that things get even more and more and more worse, because as soon as William hears that his wife dies, oh boy, he does not take it lightly. He kept constantly going to the same bar over and over again, grieving over his wife's death, to the point where the bartender had to kick him out. So, driving back home into a fitter bit of rage and trying to go see his kids again, he then goes upon
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza
and sees something that starts to have a serious moment that really leaves an impact on this franchise. Outside of
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza,
we see Charlotte, Henry's daughter, looking outside the window, basically being left outside while all the kids are in the restaurant having fun and playing games with each other. And she just wants to join the party, and she can't for some reason. And also, there's a mysterious robot inside of the animatronics storage room, I think, or no, it's inside of a music box called the security puppet. I'm not sure if this was designed by Afton or Henry, but it's mostly designed to protect Charlotte. That's all you really need to know. It's been trying to reach to Charlotte, but it couldn't because it was locked inside of its music box. And Afton looks at Charlotte, and then this is where things start to get a little crazy. When William walks up to Charlotte and he's all messed up, Charlotte, just not knowing what's going on, she probably just assumes that, oh, maybe Daddy's business worker is actually gonna help me, go inside so that I can go have some fun, right? No, what William does is insane. He kills Charlotte.
Huh?
Yes, I am not joking. He starts to murder a child. Now, I don't know exactly how he does it, but I'm just gonna assume he probably pinned her onto the ground and stabbed her multiple times, only to then hide her body into a dark alley to where nobody can see him when this was all happening, and then quickly drives away to pretend that nothing happened. Then eventually the security puppet ends up leaving its music box and try to go outside to save Charlotte, but because it was also raining, the animatronic started to malfunction until it eventually collapsed on top of Charlotte, which then had her soul fuse inside of the animatronic, and now Charlotte is the puppet. And now that she doesn't have any memories of her previous life, or she doesn't know where to go, she goes back inside of
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
her and just continues on with her life. Or at least what's left of it. After Henry hears about his daughter's death, I can already tell that he was very upset about it, but unfortunately, we're not going to really see Henry throughout the rest of the retrospective until much later. And trust me, we will see Henry once again, but for the time being, we're going to have to step away from him for now. Okay, and now this is where we finally get into the first game in the series, Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Now, why are we starting with Five Nights at Freddy's 4? Well, that's because this is where the game takes place around this era, 1983, and this is like the big moment that happens, like the game that happens prior to the events that I've already discussed. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go into Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and see what's been going on. In Five Nights at Freddy's 4, we play as the crying child, aka Evan. Evan is, well, scared of Afton's creations. He's scared of his father's animatronics because, well, they're just terrifying to him. And his brother Michael takes big advantage of it by pulling mean pranks on him, by jump scaring him with the Foxy mask and constantly scaring him, calling him a crybaby. Man, Michael is not a good brother, is he? And then I think it got to the point where Evan started to have nightmares about these animatronics that are coming after him in his room, which does terrify him. And I'm just gonna say this right now, the dream theory where basically the stuff that's been going on in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is just a dream, I'm just gonna say that the gameplay is part of the dream because, like, I'll just say that the dream theory is probably true just from the gameplay perspective because I really don't see how the heck Evan would stay up this late at night to survive against animatronics that are just part of his vision or part of his nightmare, because, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But why? Why would Michael go all his way to torment his little brother into making him scared of Fredbear and all the other animatronics? Well, I think that could also stem from William being a bad father and actually encouraging this. Now, why exactly? Well, I mean, if it isn't obvious, he's doing absolutely nothing about Michael bullying his brother. Not to mention that we even know that William is involved with this whole situation in the Midnight Motorist minigame in FNAF 6. Because as we see William get back home after killing Charlotte, we see him trying to knock on Evan's door to see what he's up to. And we see someone sitting in a chair saying, "Leave him alone. He's already been through enough." So basically, that's Michael, because we know that he has the same text letters as Michael in FNAF 4. Then when William went to go check on his son outside, he notices that the window is broken. And what this means is that basically he snuck out. And where exactly would he sneak out? Well, this could stem from Evan being traumatized and trying to cope with the loss of his mother Beverly, which could mean that he's going to his mother's grave. And we know this because William says he's gone to that place again. He'll be sorry when he comes back. Now, I was a bit skeptical on this theory, but the more I look at it, the more I think the fans do actually make a good point on it. And then after you survive the 5 nights in the game, we then go to a scene that, well, leaves another big impact on this franchise and is very infamous. So, it's Evan's birthday, and where's it being held at? Fredbear's Family Diner. And Michael decides to do one of the biggest, meanest things that an older brother could ever do to his younger brother. So, anyways, he's like, hey, let's go and give this kid a little kiss for Fredbear. And by that, I mean, Michael and his friends basically shove Evan's head inside of Fredbear's mouth. What is wrong with you? And then, like, because of the tears that's been moisturing the spring locks that are inside of Fredbear, remembering how it can, like, make a animatronic sort of malfunction and kill a person. Well, basically, because Evan's been constantly crying and his head is stuck inside of Fredbear's mouth, Fredbear ends up chopping it off and basically, yeah, killing Evan in the process, which led to one of the biggest events ever.
Was that the bite of 87?
No, Markiplier. That was the bite of 83. Now, because of the death of Evan, William was very devastated and very upset with his son's death. And because this was a big deal, Michael also felt really guilty and sorry for his brother's death, and it got to the point where Fredbear's Family Diner had to shut down. As Evan is in the hospital, on his last final breathing moments, his brother tells him sorry before he leaves the room, and then William leaves him with his Fredbear plushie, talking into it directly to his son, telling him, "You are broken. I will put you back together."
You dumb bloker! How dare you do this to your own brother? You weren't supposed to take it that far!
I'm sorry, Father. I didn't know those spring lock suits can actually kill someone. Please stop hitting me.
You're a disgrace to this family. You're the reason your mother died. If you had such a little piece of shit, then we wouldn't be in this mess.
Daddy, what are you doing to Michael? Why do you keep screaming at him?
Elizabeth, Daddy needs to have a grown-up conversation with your brother. Go back to your room and be my little good girl.
But, Daddy...
I said go to your bedroom!
Yes, Daddy?
Please, Father. I promise I'll make it up to killing Evan. I swear to God on my life.
Oh, really? Well, how about we fix the problem by killing you right now?
Wait, what?
Why is somebody caught me at this midnight of night? I'll deal with you later, you failure son. Hello?
What did you do?
Henry, my good friend. Nice to hear from you. Sorry I couldn't come to work today.
What did you do?
Now, Henry, you know that I can't answer any questions without knowing the context of the situation, right?
Do you want to explain to me why the employees found my daughter's corpse at the back of Freddy's?
Oh shit, I'm sorry to hear about that, man. I know it's not easy to lose a family member who loves you so much.
Cut the bullshit, William. I know it was you.
What?
William, how could you? We were doing successfully with our business and accomplished our dreams of bringing families together. Then after Beverly divorced you, things went down to shit real fast. You don't show up to work on time. You always pass out drunk at your door. Then after she died, I helped you get back your kids. I did all that for you, and this is how you repay me?
I lost my wife, Henry. What the f*** was I supposed to do? Now my son Evan has died because a Fredbear chewed on his head.
Wait, what?
And on top of that, it was Michael's fault, so I'm trying to take care of it by killing him.
William, that's your son. I know Michael didn't mean for Evan to die, but killing him will do you no good. What am I going to tell the police, William?
That's not my problem. I'm the one who's suffering here. I should take control of this situation.
You are not the victim, William. You need to get a grip on yourself and see what you've become.
Henry, shut up. I don't need any crap to hear from you. Besides, I've got even bigger plans.
What do you mean?
One child's death isn't enough. If I can't have the satisfaction of being immortal while having a family, then no one can.
You know what, William? Fazbear Entertainment is no longer my responsibility. I'm quitting this whole operation and letting the rest of the company manage on its own. I see that you are no longer the man I once knew. Instead, you're a monster. Goodbye, old friend. Charlotte, I'm sorry. I wish I could have been there to save you. So yeah, that was basically the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Now, we will be tackling some more events from the other games, but for now, we're just going to end the retrospective right here. So come back next time as we cover the rest of the events of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore.